Hi, I'm Will Bruin, and I was just recognized as a Seattle Sounders legend. Now I get to do voice reads for the Sounder at Heart podcast network.
Here we go. Come on! Hey, O'Shan! Let's go!
The Seattle Sounders have done it! MLS Cup winners! The Sounders rule the region! Seattle Sounders is campeón! All creatures great and small.
Rothrock going to collect it. He does just about. Runs into the advertising awning. Low to our left. Ball goes in. Oh, what a cross! And what a goal!
Where's my copy?
I got a bunch of them in the car. I'll get you some.
You're handing them out for free already.
How many
cost on them?
$50.
I'll Venmo you.
This episode of Nos Arietes is sponsored by Full Pull Wines, a Seattle-based wine retailer and proud sponsor of Nos Arietes since 2011. Full Pull was founded in 2009, is based in Seattle, and is owned and operated by longtime Sounders supporters. They offer the best boutique wines of the world to members of their mailing list, with special focus on their home, the Pacific Northwest. Welcome back to another episode of Nos Arietes on the Sounder at Heart podcast network. Joining me today is someone who, I will be completely honest, I wasn't entirely sure if they had any idea who I was when I reached out to them, and I was very relieved to find out that they at least knew enough to pretend to know who I was. So I really want to say thank you. But it's Spencer Hall, who you probably know as Bum Chillups or EDSBS. He is currently running Channel 6, a former SB Nation colleague of mine, and someone who is usually knee-deep in college football, but right now appears to have gotten be very interested in the World Cup, and I found that very fascinating, and I wanted to talk to him. Welcome to the show, Spencer.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm a 94 guy. Like, if you want to know when my first World Cup of note of memory was, it's 94. Everything else is retrograde. Like, my first World Cup memory is the Hand of God goal, but that was divorced from any actual understanding of what was happening. That was just something cool on a TV that was happening. The first one where I knew, okay, that's what's happening. We're doing the Animal Olympics, but with soccer. That's 94.
Yeah, so I will admit that I am about the same age as you, and so I should have the same sort of sporting reference. And I was a high schooler in 1994. And the World Cup to me was something I knew existed, but I don't know I had any frame of reference for it at all. Like, other than I have family, I know soccer to some degree. I'd played soccer, but I was not I was certainly not. I don't think I could name any players going into the World Cup. I don't think I could name a single player in the tournament going into 94. And so my connection to the World Cup was almost exclusively that the Brazil national team was headquartered in Los Gatos, California, which was near where I lived. And they were playing games at Stanford, and that was relevant to me. I did not get to a game. I started dating my wife in 1996. She was much more of a soccer fan than I was at that time. So I was a little bit, and she was into the 98 World Cup. So I started getting into that. But I really didn't get into the World Cup until really 2006, when she and I and a couple other friends went to Europe to experience what it was like to be around the World Cup. We didn't actually get to a game, but we did go to a lot of watch parties. We went to a fan fest in Germany after we failed to get tickets for the US opener. And I was not really into soccer, but even then I was not really even into soccer until 2010. So the fact that you seem to have been remotely intrigued by 94 or more intrigued by 94 than me, I think says a lot about the credibility you should have in this space.
I'd hope so. Although I'm less concerned about credibility and more about disclosure, and being very forthright about things. For instance, I've always looked out when it came to the World Cup, because there's always something that is a turn for me. There's always some pivot point in either life or the world that it always hinges on. 98, I moved out of the country. I moved to Taiwan, so I was watching them in the middle. Like, God, I want to say that. What is the time difference there? Even I forget.
Well, France
I was
to Taiwan, probably like 8-ish hours, I would guess.
Boy, yeah. There's like, I was trying to think. Like, I remember watching them at very, very inappropriate times, right? And watching like Dennis Bergkamp score when I probably should have been working. And then in 02, it's the middle of the night because it's the Korea-Japan World Cup.
I did have some insomniac memories of that tournament as well.
Get up, go to the bar at 3 a.m, go to work at 9. That was basically how we negotiated that, right? Just there's always something that sort of hangs on it for me, you know. And I suppose that this time that is, I've got a summer where I kind of have to be home, like everything, like I can't get out too much because there's a bunch of places falling down around our ears, and you know I have to be around to make sure that there's not a hole in the roof, and it actually ends up being mad convenient. Yeah, like it's extremely convenient where you go, cool. I have an excuse. I could sit here and watch soccer all day.
Well, that actually dovetails nicely into this. This World Cup is obviously the first one in the modern American soccer history. Like, I think we can put, like, obviously 1990 was when the U.S. made its return to the World Cup after a 50-year absence. And 94 was sort of when a lot of fans were first kind of introduced to the U.S. to the World Cup in a real way. But I don't think there were not a lot of soccer fans who were going into, like, 94 was a curiosity, I think is fair to say.
Yeah.
And this is the first World Cup that we've had where we have a robust, like, there's a real soccer culture, I think you can say, in the United States. There is you can find virtually any game in any league relatively easy on a streaming service or even over broadcast TV. And this is the first World Cup that we've had where it's made for our viewing, our time. It's on our time zones, right? And so we have almost every day for the last few weeks had 4 games a day. And it goes from, on the West Coast, it goes from either 9 or 10 or noon, I guess, in some cases, until sometimes we have games going until 11 p.m. at night. How do you think that has changed? Just the fact that there is soccer on the TV basically every day, all day. How do you think that is sort of breaking through to the average sports fan?
The average sports fan is usually somebody who, I don't know what our language parameters are, ain't got shit to do. It's very important that you're willing to just put something on in the background. Right. And I think this is ideal for that because the notion of paying attention to 4 games diligently within a game, I will tell you, somebody who covers college football for half the year, it's not real possible. Eventually you will zone out, and soccer's built for that. Watching on Telemundo, I just kind of follow the pitch and the tilt of somebody's voice until something gets quicker. And you want to know why I watch on Telemundo. There's like 35 reasons why I watch on Telemundo, despite not being a native Spanish speaker and not really a Spanish speaker at all. I think I'm at like 70% uptick on this. Like, I think I get 70% of what they're saying, but mostly I'm just there for the stage direction. They're very good at it.
Yes.
And they let you know when something is about to happen or might happen or something cool is going to happen. I think that matters a lot. I think for the diehards, they're going to be watching no matter what. And I think for the casuals, who I think we worry too much about sometimes, if you put it on, people come. Like, they'll watch a spectacle, and this is a spectacle. But more importantly, I think at the ground level, it's fun. And I think despite this, that's why, like this goddamn tournament, because as a concept, it always works. It always works. Like, it's too fun. It's too ridiculous. Like, it's a big, ridiculous idea, right? That we're going to take these essentially temporary squads, summer squads, and we're going to determine who has the best soccer team in the world. Right. Like, the best soccer team in the world plays for either the Bundesliga or plays for the EPL or in League One, right? Like, they're not. That's the best soccer team. It's the one you can buy.
It is funny sometimes when we get into these discussions and because the World Cup is obviously held up as the pinnacle of the sport. But the reality is that, every year, and we used to have these discussions sometimes at SB Nation where it was like this big revelation that it's like, actually the Super Bowl is not the most watched sporting event on any given year. It is almost always the Champions League final when you talk about worldwide audience. And also the best soccer team in the world invariably plays in the Champions League final. And we they get crowned every year, and they're made up of, sometimes they have a heavy sampling of one nation's players or another, but it is never a monolithic group who all play for the same team. And it's not even fair to say that the World Cup is a bunch of all-star teams, because there are maybe a couple, you can say they're sort of all-star team like, but that's even overstating it, I think, to say they're all-star teams.
Yeah, it is kind of a preposterous concept. And
it is.
I love that. It's absurd, and it only gets more absurd the longer you look at it. Like, it's absurd to have it in the United States right now. This is the worst possible. This should be the worst possible time to be a visitor. It should be the most conflicted time possible to be a fan, particularly of, the United States team. If you're an American fan,
right.
Which I have to
say, especially if you're not an American,
Yeah, especially if you're not American. It's hard. See, it's like for some nations, it's difficult to get a visa right now. Why? Because we have a fascist administration in place that people voted in for reasons I will never understand. I don't have to. All I know is that despite all of this, when you come here, it works. People like hanging out. People like trying your food. It works if you have it in Korea and Japan. It works if you have it here. It works if you have it in France. People like hanging out, and against all odds, that's undefeated.
Yeah. One of the things that has really struck me about this tournament in particular is that for all the warts and the very justified complaints about this, about FIFA, about the US government, about everything that went into the build, like there was almost a wall of negativity that was leading into this. The tickets are too expensive. It's too hard to get in. There's going to be ICE patrolling the streets. There's going to be empty stands. There's going to be all these things. And I think these were all perfectly warranted and justified complaints and concerns. And it's just been amazing to me how it has sort of washed away, and maybe not washed away, but we've forgotten about it. We've compartmentalized that part of it, and we've been able to enjoy this tournament for what it is, which is, like you said, it's an amazing spectacle. But beyond that, I think what has struck me is the way that foreigners have come to this country and sort of had almost eye-opened that it's like realizing that the United States is not a monolith, that it's like the people are not the government, and that this is actually an amazing place that has a lot of different environments, that Seattle is not like New York, that is not like Miami, and is not like Texas. And the food is varied. And I think what's been like both frustrating because it could have been better, but also really satisfying is seeing sort of the Instagrams of all these foreign influencers just rave about their experiences.
Yeah. And, that's, of course, that's what'll get the clicks, baby. Because, right. Americans, we want to be loved like anyone else, right? Did you come here? Did you have a good time? Right? Like, I think everyone's meeting the median voter at once. Which the median voter is a crazy person, man. They might be like, I voted for Trump 3 times. You're like, well, that's crazy. They're like, yeah, man, you want some food? You're like, what? Hey, yeah, man, I hope you have a good time while you're here in Dallas. What? No, you don't. Yeah, I do. That doesn't make sense. No. None of it makes sense. You want me to we can't have any big definitive judgments on the United States of America or anywhere else until you go there and you go, yeah, man, people are crazy. Generally pleasant, pleasant, but all over the map,
Yes.
And I think it helps guests because, as you know, if you've traveled as a guest, you generally want to be on your best behavior. So everyone is on their best behavior. Hey, man, I saw Colombian fans in the stands against Uzbekistan. I saw this clip. This little Uzbek kid, or kid with an Uzbek jersey, who knows? He might be from Marietta, Georgia, and just wear it, just feeling it, right? But he's got an Uzbekistan jersey on. And he's crying because they're losing. and Colombia, the Colombia fans start chanting Uzbekistan, because he's crying, right? They want to make him feel better. This is all happening at once. I don't need you to not be cynical about it if that's your default setting. I'm just saying it's a wild experience when you get a bunch of people together for whatever reason. We haven't even like joyous and active resistance is real if that's what you feel at this particular moment, right? I think it's true at any moment in human history. If you're experiencing some joy, go ahead, lean into it. But at the same time, that this is FIFA and the United States putting on an event, like the United States government basically co-sponsoring an event, and people are still having a good time. That's an indictment of FIFA and the United States government, right? Because we're doing that, like this is happening despite all of that.
Right. And I think that's sort of what's struck me. And I guess one of the other reasons that I was particularly curious in your perspective on all this is I feel like you have maybe a better sense. Like we are very much in a bubble, and I suppose you could argue that college football fans are a different kind of bubble, but it seems like a much bigger bubble at the very least. Mm-hmm. And in some ways, I guess I'm surprised by the way that this has seemingly broken through. But does it feel to you as if this is sort of making inroads in ways that previous tournaments that beat previous U.S. runs have maybe not?
I hope so. The ratings seem to indicate, if you just judge by TV ratings and by, sort of the general like media reaction, we don't have it's not scientific. We won't know for years whether this picked up or not. But I think it is fair to say that, if you go back and you look at 94 is a watershed moment for United States soccer. Because if you take everybody, and I just say go back 20 years, like if you look at everybody who was our age during 94 and you look forward 20 years, they're all at least paying attention. They all at least are like, okay, yeah, I got an EPL team, or I'll watch this, right? And I think if you look now, we won't know for 10 to 20 years what the impact of this tournament was. I know some really cool things have happened, and that people are been exposed to some cool things that, for me, the 94 tournament was fascinating because, you got to see like Roberto Baggio blow a, PK over the bar, right? Against, one of the last like really, 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 really big Brazilian teams. Right. And that was fascinating. That was amazing to me. Right. That doesn't come twice in a lifetime. You just got to see an old Leo Messi scored twice for Argentina against Austria. That's the kind of thing that kids will go, hey, listen, I saw that. Their kids will be like, you're really old. Yeah, really old. I saw Messi play, That's awesome. That's the kind of thing that, like, I think that's a seed, and you plant it, and then you see what grows from the ground afterwards, whether it's making you an EPL fan, whether it's making you the kind of casual I think this is the most important thing, by the way, is not to see like, okay, can we get this person out to see the MLS team? That to me is not the most important thing. The most important thing is, did you experience something where you center the game in your life as a positive thing, whether it's to reach out to people, whether it's to make your life better, whether it's something beautiful you admire, whether it's a way that you meet, interact, or connect with people, whether it is just a solid bellwether that you hang the year on, where you go, okay, it's soccer season. Like I'm good for, from 9 to 12 on a Saturday or Sunday. I know what I'm doing, right? I'm getting some coffee and I'm going to watch the EPL or whatever. That's the most important thing for me. Everything else after that is just some sort of delusion of marketing, right? Some sort of consumer outcome that you want to achieve, which is fine, but it's not what I would be concerned with as a long-term effect.
Sounder at Heart has been around in one form or another since 2009. In 2026, though, we make a pretty significant evolution when we go analog. Yes, that's right, in the year of our Lord 2026, we are publishing a real-life magazine. We're calling this thing 4, as in Sounder at Heart 4.0, but we're stylizing it as IV because we absolutely love Roman numeral. And if you want to refer to it as IV, that's cool too. The first issue has a comic book style cover that was hand-drawn by local artist Kevin Newber, featuring Features by Tim Foss, Susie Rance, and Charlie Boehm, a statistical deep dive by Kat Bush, a Q&A with Brian Schmetzer, a column by G. Willow Wilson, and photographs by Noah Reif, Max Aquino, Mike Russell, and Jane Dershowitz. I could not possibly be more proud of the work everyone put into making this, and I think you're going to absolutely love it. If you'd like to get your hands on one of these limited edition copies, we're currently selling them for $15 on our website. Get yours now. Nos Arietes, admittedly, is not exactly known for our spicy takes, but that doesn't mean we want our food to be mild. Spice up your life with Hacks and Ferments. Handcrafted in Georgetown and made with the best local ingredients from across the Pacific Northwest, they specialize in unique small batch fermented hot sauces and vinegars. Hacks and Ferments brings bold flavors and natural fermentation together for something truly special. Whether you're a heat seeker or just looking to elevate your cooking, you'll find something you love at hacksandferments.com. That's HAXANFERMENTS.com. And right now, if you use the code SOUNDERATHEART, that's all one word, at checkout, you will get a free hot sauce with your order. Again, go to hacksandferments.com, use the code SOUNDERATHEART at checkout for a free hot sauce with your order. Hacks and Ferments is a proud sponsor of the Sounder at Heart podcast network.
Yeah, I would say that, the thing that has always struck me about what hooked me about the World Cup, and which I had never really experienced myself, was the communal aspect of watching these games that feels a little different than normal. Then I suppose it is similar to, folks who will go out to the pub on a Saturday morning and watch Premier League games all day or whatever. But that there is something about soccer that seems to bring out this communal joy. And I think the thing that I've always found most powerful about soccer, and I do think it is different, is that it's so much about the buildup and the anticipation, and that these massive explosions of joy when you're not guaranteed it, right? Like you're right. Not in any given game. You might go to a 0-0 draw and walk away totally disappointed. But because of those, the every goal that your team scores feels that much bigger and that much more powerful. And there is something I feel like that's in soccer that lends itself to that communal sort of like hugging the neighbor next to you. You're the stranger next to you.
Yeah, it's the on ramp is so low and so easy, right?
Yeah,
it's just so gentle. Like even the World Cup, like you don't remember the Japan Korea one was awesome because that was when Ireland qualified, and Irish fans. There are these stories about Irish fans just taking Japanese fans who were going to the game or commuters who didn't have a ticket, and they were like, "Okay, you have a ticket now." And they're like, "I don't speak English." And they're like, "We don't care. It's fine. Here's a beer. You want to go to the game?" They're like, "Oh yeah, I want to go to the game. Cool. I'm going to paint you green." And they're like, "Oh, I'm in." That's it.
Yeah.
Like I like the invitation. I love the World Cup as invitation, right? For all the graft, for all the controversy, for all of the Alexi Lalas as fascist mascot bullshit surrounding it. I love the invitation because ultimately this is the kind of thing where it's free. It's free. Like the basic product, if you're watching and you just want to watch, or if you just want to hang out, is free because it's soccer. Soccer's free. Like watch these players. These are the best players in the world. And they're out there going, well, maybe this will work. Maybe that'll work. Well, let's try this. Let's try that. The improvisational element of the game, the low barrier to entry just to play at any age and then to watch and appreciate it. Like you said, may not happen, but like simple 1 or 2 times a game, something incredible is going to happen. And you never know when.
Yeah. You mentioned Alexi there, and I'm just curious, have you happened to see the way that he and Henri and Zlatan have been interacting by any chance? It's
great. I get clips. So I'm watching on Telemundo, and in part because I don't want to watch Alexi Lalas. I don't.
Sure.
I don't want to see that man earn money. But I do get clips, and that's the best part about being on the internet is that somebody just cuts it up and feeds it to you. It's bad. It's bad. That's rank. That is a rotten studio dynamic. That's not Shaq being upset at something that Charles said on the NBA on TNT. That's a guy who doesn't get the joke. That's a guy who doesn't want to be or can play the role of butt of the joke.
Yeah, I don't feel like he has got, because for all the sort of kind of clownish behavior that Alexi has engaged in over the years, and at times I thought it was actually, there was an appeal to it because I thought he was doing a good job of sort of creating conversation around the game, and it does feel like it's sort of taken a turn, and it has, and it feels like for the first time he's really being sort of like called out by his colleagues on live television, and it'll be interesting to see what the fallout from that is, because this does feel not like something we're used to seeing so much on big network television.
He messed around and got important at work. That's the problem, is that the World Cup came around and you go, okay, well, here's our guy. We've had this guy for a long time.
Right.
And what does he do? Well, he's a VOD. That's it. Do you remember anything Alexi Lalas says? He doesn't say it. Like, he's good at,
no,
he does the thing that a lot of TV people do. And which, because I've done TV, I can say this, I've done it too. Sometimes they're like, you have 30 seconds. And you're like, I got 30 seconds of confident and loud. That's it. 30 seconds of confident and loud. And then that's about it. Unfortunately, he's been put on a stage with Thierry Henry. Zlatan's just kind of a throw in who occasionally insults him and doesn't like him. But Thierry Henry is an amazing commentator and screen presence. And he's delightful, and he has good listening skills. And he, in his second language, no less, or third language at this point, Thierry Henry, in addition to all of that, is way better in his job. So like the question that he's got, and it's very funny because like the definitive, like I think Alexi Lalas is, for better or worse, a standard bearer for what can go wrong with Gen X, and the comedy of Gen X's like soul is Office Space, and he's been forced to confront the basic question at the core of that movie, which is, what exactly do you do here? Because this guy's way better at all of it, and this guy's here to let you know how much he hates you and how much better he was at soccer. That's it.
And Rebecca Lowe is, of course, like the peak competence of running a studio show.
Yeah.
And I think that's also been one of the things. I don't remember if she was on the Fox broadcast in Qatar, but I do feel like I don't think I think that was Rob Stone who was in her role.
Yeah.
In 2022.
I think the point guy. Yeah.
And it has been sort of it's kind of been this bizarre thing, because it's like half of what you have come to expect from a Premier League or Champions League studio show, and half of what Fox is normally doing. And it does create this interesting contrast. And I don't know if that was purposeful. I don't quite understand how this happened, because Fox seems to have purposefully created a lineup of talent for them in previous years that was designed not for peak. Like, this was not part of what they normally did, I did not think.
No, I don't think it was what they did. But the addition of Henry really has just upset that. Like, sometimes chemistry exposes people, or lack of chemistry exposes people, whether it's on a sports pitch or whether it's on TV. And I think people have seen that he's slow. He's not particularly insightful. The thing that he was an insider at, which was, the inner workings of the United States men's national team. I don't know. He called for the manager to be fired last year. He didn't get fired. What kind of decent info do you think he's getting? Do you think?
Yeah.
Like, that's not Steve Sampson or Greg Berhalter there, right? Like,
no.
That's
or Bruce Arena or
Bruce Arena or any
or even I would even believe that he had more insight into the Jurgen Klinsmann sort of like school, because at least Klinsmann had been swimming around American soccer circles for a long time by the time he took over the.
But so what does he do here? What's his angle? Does he just sit there and blame the United States women's team's political beliefs for why they lost to Sweden?
I'd almost forgotten.
Was being woke the thing that caused you to miss a penalty kick?
Right.
Because that's what Alexi Lalas wanted me to believe.
It sure was. At the same time, I think this is the first time that at the World Cup that we've seen sort of college football style studio. They kind of like the studio where you have the fans in the background. And that has been kind of refreshing. And I do love the idea of bringing sort of like college football elements into American soccer.
I think any exchange therein, I just wrote between the sports, I wrote a whole thing on how we should have more like FA Cup style cups in college football. Like we should have essentially a minor league or a minor tournament, right? That's just completely open and doesn't rely on anything that the playoff does. We should have a preseason. We should have jamborees. We should be as creative as soccer has been in terms of cutting the product up into different forms and digesting it. I think that goes for broadcasting as well. There's a lot of color. There's no reason to keep everybody in the booth, right? Turn them loose, let them into the crowd. That's an amazing thing to do at the World Cup, because half the reason you're there is to see everyone else. I'm going to a Scotland match because I want to hang out with Scottish soccer fans. The team is a secondary concern to me.
That seems to capture the World Cup about perfectly.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just love being around. I just love being around fans of teams and I find myself being like in my logical brain thinking like, yeah, it would be fun to watch Spain play some random team. But then I realize like, if I'm not surrounded by people who are passionately supporting one of these teams, I don't know if I actually care that much about this. But you put me, like yesterday I was watching Belgium, Iran, and there were a lot of Iranian fans around, and it did not take long for me to become a big Iran fan.
Yeah, this is the I think Victoria Zeller put it really well on Blue Sky when she's like, listen, I just learned where this country was, and I'm paraphrasing here, but now I will absolutely die for them. I think that's part of the fun, is to say, hey, Cabo Verde, you are now.
I was going to guess that had to be Cabo Verde.
It was the most. Cabo Verde is the most important team in the world right now. Like that's, you love that. You go, okay, hey, I hope people do that. I know people do that for us. I know there's not as many, because for a lot of reasons. I know I mark the hell out for Colombia every time they play, because I don't know. I'm a sucker for back heels and announcers who take 45 seconds to finish the goal call.
Yes.
Because even for Spanish announcers, Colombian announcers go above and beyond the call of duty. With an echo, like that, like when I remember James Rodriguez, when he sort of had his big coming out, like the guy had reverb on his mic, and I was like, that is, because he thought about it. He was like, yeah, we'll put a little reverb on this.
There you go. Well, Spencer, it's been an absolute joy having you on. I also want to just say, as someone who has left the SB Nation world and set out on an independent journey, I have really enjoyed seeing Channel 6 do as well as it has been. I hope that you are surrounded by people who know who Nick Saban is. I'm sure you are, which I'm sure is very gratifying.
Yeah. It'd be hard to find one. I know one, but I know it'd be hard to find another.
Right. Anything else other than tell me a little bit about, tell our listeners about Channel 6, because I would imagine we may have some listeners who are not entirely familiar with it.
During college football season, it's primarily college football delivered to your inbox twice a week. When it is not, sometimes it's college football, but most of the time it's just it's a menagerie of things we find interesting, including I'm definitely writing about Alexi Lalas this week and about everything I just talked about, which is, don't ever mess around and get important at work, especially if you're not good at your job.
Yeah. That's probably a good note to end on. Once again, thank you for joining us. I am Jeremiah Shan. This is No Sanietes, part of the Sounder at Heart Podcast Network, and we will catch you next time.
Let's go Sounders. Yeah.